Hi guys, in today's video we're gonna cover a spoiler-free review of She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker-Chan, but we're also gonna see some similar book recommendation to this book that I hope you'd love. Let's dive deep together. So, She Who Became the Sun is pitched as Mulan meets the Song of Achilles, and I swear to you that it is a phenomenal story. It is set in a very atmospheric environment, and the prose, it's beautiful, it's very lyrical, and you'll find some phrases that are just gonna make your heart ache, and that's great. But I do have some concern with this book, which is mainly the expectations that it sets. And that's what I really want to talk about, because this book is phenomenal and I do believe you may love it, but please go to this book with expectations clear, because I came to this story expecting something very differently to what I ended up getting, and that taxed my reading experience and my overall enjoyment of the book. So let's get to the beginning. What is this story about? This story is a retelling, a reimagining of the rising of the Ming Dynasty in China. For all of us that don't know that much of history, it is a specific point of history in where the Mongols were in control of China, and when there was a specific uprising of a group of Chinese people called the Red Turbans. This story, though, starts with the point of view of Chu, who is the second daughter in a family famished by the war, and they are very poor, and in fact women in this society are worth of nothing. They just the ones that get killed if there's not enough food. And so this family great idea of facing the situation is to go to a fortune teller to tell the destiny to their children. And what they receive when they get there is that Chu's brother is destined for greatness and to conquer all his dreams. Meanwhile, the only thing that awaits Chu is nothingness. However, very soon, Chu's family die, and she decides to step up to impersonate her brother, take his destiny, and to move ahead to greatness, starting a story of self-development. It's a very character-driven story, which I loved, and you see how her destiny unfolds, how she passes different stages in her life, from starting from a monastery and then starting to play a role in the war. And this story, it's mainly really a war story. It is a story plagued with decisions, with sorrow, with wars, with some gruesome scenes, but also with heart-wrenching moments and potentially with greatness. I definitely see where the resemblance of this book is with Mulan and with the Song of Achilles, with Mulan in the impersonating a boy and going into the war and potentially awaiting greatness, and the Song of Achilles in this obsession of fate, on being destined to something, and to, have this beautiful prose in the book that just makes you tear up all of the time. But quite honestly, that is what the similarities end. It's more of a feeling, of a taste, rather than the overall experience of the book. Because for me, this book was way more similar to The Poppy War. The Poppy War is a war story that follows our girl Rin, that is a shaman inside of a world where shamans are dead, and she has the power of the phoenix inside her, and we see her development throughout all these wars that plague their land, which is a Chinese versus Japanese reimagining. And so it really is very similar in the takes that one, it is very dark, it is very political heavy and very war heavy themes, strategical themes. It also has these grey-ish characters in which we see how we may be wrong people just for rooting for some of the characters, which I love. I just love these situations. And it also has its similarities on different points of view in the story that you want to root for all of them, although they are in opposite sides of the war. So it's great. And I really think that if you enjoy war books, or if you like the Poppy War, you are just facing a phenomenal book for you. This She Who Became the Sun will be one of the best books for you this year. However, if you are seeking something that it's not as war heavy as the Poppy War, maybe you may enjoy all the books, and that's what we are going to talk about now. So if you come to this book waiting or with the will of a Mulan inspired story, I suggest you read Flame in the Mist by Renée Ahdieh, which follows the story of Mariko, who is the only daughter of a very famous samurai and whose only destiny is to be the wife of someone who she doesn't even know. Go figure. And suddenly, going into this wedding, she gets attacked by a band of bandits, and she is kind of forced to impersonate a poor boy and to infiltrate into this band to seek vengeance. But also she starts to discover her role, how she is valued by her ideas, by her wit, by her intelligence, and she starts to see things in a different way. And I really loved this book. I loved it. I must say that it took me a while. One, because I started and then dropped it, and I thought this book wasn't really good. And then when I give it a second chance, it kind of has this slow beginning, but really once that I get to it, I really enjoyed it. It's very fast-paced, it's emotional, the metaphors that it had are just great, and the prose, it's beautiful. I really think that you liked it. Again, it's not a Mulan retelling, it's just inspired by that, so keep that in mind. But it's more of a similar story, I think. But if what you're seeking is not necessarily a Mulan-inspired story, but more of an ancient environmental story where we get a powerful, empowered woman, then I urge you, I beg you to read The Sword of Kagan, which is one of my top books of the year, and I swear to you, it's phenomenal. It follows two points of view of a mother and a son, and I know that's not the classic cup of tea in fantasy, but just the ambience that I've got, the magic that it creates, because it's kind of an Avatar inspired story in which we have different powers, water, air, earth, fire, all of that. It's amazing. We see how these two characters, the mother and the son, are in Kagan, which is the last resort of this empire to face the assault of a war. And they are this last resort because they still believe in this tradition of warriors, this just I will fight with my powers and with the sword. And just trust me, it has some of the most amazing action stories and action scenes that I've read. Although it will make you cry potentially, you see the development of both these characters, especially Misaki, the mother, this woman that starts with a classic do what I told you wife in this Asian tradition and becomes a true hero in the story and within their city, and it's just so phenomenal. Please read it. And yeah, that was it for today. If you liked it, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel, or leave your comments down below telling what other similar books do you recommend other people, or whether or not you find that expectations were well set or misplaced for you. I'm keen to know your thoughts, and see you soon. Bye!